Change the script is an idea. It's an idea that has emerged that if we have to prepare young people for the 21st century, we have to fundamentally change the lens we are looking at challenges that young people face. We have to look beyond the symptoms and now go into fundamental challenges. Why are young people struggling in today's world?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to one and all. Welcome to the first conference that is aimed at creating a perfect opportunity for us to go deeper in understanding the challenges faced by young people.
The question we are asking ourselves is, why are we talking about what we're going to talk about at this conference now? Why are we here? In the last 20 years, India has transformed from being a largely local-centric country to a very mobile country. So I'm reminded of this quote. It says, if you take a surgeon from an operating theatre in 1914 and put them in an operating theatre in 2014, they will not know what to do. If you take an educator from a classroom in 1914 and put them in a classroom in 2014, they fit right in. That is the sad state of affairs of education in our country, or maybe even across the world. What education is giving young people today is continuing to just make them more mediocre. A simple idea, the top 10 jobs which are in demand in 2004 don't exist anymore. We cannot anymore predict what kind of jobs are going to be available 10, 15, 20 years down the line. How are young people going to cope with that? We're talking about employers who are saying, more than half of the employers in the country today who are saying that the biggest challenge why entry-level job vacancies exist is because the young people do not have the skills that's required in the job market.
I think you could make the case that it's the most relevant of any skill for the 21st century. Because when children have confidence in their creativity, it allows them to take risks, they're less afraid of failure, they're more flexible, they're more confident, actually self-confident. They're willing to stand up and speak out in front of other people. They become more willing to go for what they want, because I think that creativity is intimately connected with empowerment. So I'm going to ask you if you all stand up. And I believe this is something that Dream a Dream does at its camps. I'm going to invite you. Great. I'm going to invite you to build a rhythm with me. So I'd like you to start by just walking with me. Nice and slow, we're all going to walk together. 1, 2, 3. 1, and 4, and the studies are out there, but it's a mindset. You know, it's a mindset. I think that people, there's an attitude about the real stuff and creativity. And business is saying we need creativity. But we're kind of stuck in an old mindset of reading, writing, and arithmetic and leave out the rest. That's the important stuff.
What time do you get up?
I get up at 5:30.
And then what happens?
I do some yogas up to 6.
Both that our children are ahead of us, youth are ahead of us in terms of their vision and what they want out of life. But we as parents or grandparents or as educators are still preparing kids for the 19th century. And we're living in the 21st century, and then we complain that children don't respect us. This has to shift.
पैनल डिस्कशन में बहुत सारे लोग के बीच में बोलने का मौका मिला, वो लोग को समझने का मौका मिला। हमको और मौका मिले तो मैं और ये सब में भाग लूँ, मुझे और कॉन्फिडेंस मिलेगा और मैं और हिम्मत मेरे में आ जाएगा, जैसे कि मैं अपने आप में बहुत गर्व करूँगी।
And life skills are the essence, really, of what we're all trying to do in Change the Script. We're trying to enable young people to become more equipped for life, to get a life worth living, a meaningful life.
In a nutshell, if a child stops growing, it stops developing. When it stops developing, there's a whole host of problems. They can be long-term, they can be lifelong. The idea of life skill programs, the idea of the sort of programs that we're looking at, is that you can reverse that. You can actually stop that damage. You can minimize that damage. You can increase life skills. You can get development working again. What children need is a person. They can't do it by themselves.
I have 2 sessions as part of the conference. The first one was called Roll It In, and today's session is called Roll It Out. And it really is about looking at the roles we've chosen to take, the roles we might not be very happy with, the roles we'd like to take, but we somehow seem unable to take. So it's about finding the awareness within, about what stops us, what are these blocks, what prevents us, and to find out what it is that one can do. What is it I've been doing thus far to be able to overcome a challenge? How do I get myself to look upon a challenge as an opportunity?
Reframing offers you a new vision and a new possibility, and then creating for that becomes much easier. So for instance, today we had an example of somebody talking about young people in vulnerable situations being broken, and reframing that to understanding that young people are fundamentally whole. If you look at both of these propositions, if you had to design a program for the former, the set of activities and the way that you would look at it would be significantly different than what you would use for the latter.
Yeah, today's panel discussion was very interesting for me because it actually made me think, as a person who is, putting into practice child rights, what does this inner transformational work really mean? It made me actually look at CRY's own work very critically.
I liked the session with the young people very much, because first time they gave their perspective, their struggles, and we have a lot of learning from that. So looking at what struggles they are going through and what should we do, I think that was a great session handled by Deepa.
So it's been a very vibrant crowd around this place, and I've got a lot from just the interaction that I've had with fellow participants. So it's not necessarily the sessions that have kind of given me a lot. It's just minute interactions that I've had with my fellow participants and things that they have done, their experiences, and when they share, it really inspires you to kind of push yourself a little harder and do better work.
One thing that I'd really like to take away from this is that you need to collaborate in order to create an impactful change. And this collaboration is not going to come single-handedly. You need to be listening to a lot of different perspectives.
So for me, changing the script is really about understanding what's going on and implementing that in programs, whichever program it is.
I think it's a fabulous Change the Script conference by Dream a Dream and everybody who's a part of it. I think it's a fabulous initiative. In the last one odd day that I have spent here personally, I have collaborated with 4 people. And once I go back to Delhi, I'm going to bring following up on those collaborations or, the thoughts that we have been conversing about. So the first thing is a concept like that or a conference like that gives you a platform to have a conversation. Second, to collaborate with people who could possibly scale up so much of the work that you're doing at so much more larger a level.
The key takeaway is just looking at the response we have got, starting from the time we opened up registrations to the people who have been here. The key takeaway is that people are wanting to do this, people are wanting to engage, and when you create this platform, when you create a space like this, there are more and more people who want to, contribute to this idea of changing the script. The number of people who have come and told me that the time for the sessions were not enough, be it the keynotes, the openings, the breakout sessions, everybody wants so much more of what is happening here. And it's such a pleasure to know that what we have been able to offer is really something that people are more and more wanting to hear about. So it's been phenomenal, the kind of response we have got. We had somebody say that they wish the conference was 3 days instead of 2, and that I think is a testimony to the fact of how people really want to be part of this and to be part of this movement that we are trying to create.